Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your questions, the things you're thinking about, and really try to distill them down to the core insights for you.
Exactly. And today we're getting into something really interesting meditation experiences.
Right. This comes from a question someone sent in to the Fletcher Soul Traveler YouTube channel.
A listener, Richard, shared some, pretty intense things he's been experiencing during meditation and was looking for some understanding.
Yeah, definitely sounds intense.
So our mission today is basically to unpack these sensations using the response provided there as our map and pull out the key takeaways for you.
Okay, great. So Richard mentioned first off this feeling like his head is about to explode. That's one.
Wow, yeah.
Second, his eyes actually hurt when he opens them after meditating, even though he feels relaxed with them closed.
Okay.
And third, this really powerful sensation of light just filling up his whole body, every cell.
That sounds quite profound, a real mix of sensations there.
It does. So where should we start? Maybe the eye pain. That seems a bit more straightforward, perhaps.
Yeah, let's start there. The experts' first take on this was pretty reassuring. They said, basically, this is very normal.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear right off the bat.
Definitely. And there's a physiological reason for it, which kind of makes sense when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
When your eyes are closed, especially in deep relaxation, the tiny blood vessels, the capillaries and veins around your eyes, they tend to fill up with more blood.
Right. Makes sense. Things are relaxed, blood flow changes, maybe.
Exactly. It's just the body doing its thing while resting. But then you open your eyes.
And boom, light.
Precisely. Suddenly, those eyes, which have had increased blood flow in the dark, are hit with external light. That sudden shift can feel like a bit of a shock.
Like stepping outside on a sunny day after being in a dark room. That temporary sting.
That's a great analogy. So that transition, that shock, can register as discomfort or even pain. So that's the sort of the physical side.
Okay, so a pretty clear physical explanation there. But I remember reading the response. There was more to it, wasn't there? Something deeper.
Yes, there was. The expert also suggested this could be about beginning to perceive something else. They used the phrase, viewing the light of the atan of the soul.
The atan of the soul. What does that mean exactly?
Think of it as like the core essence, the fundamental spark of your being. So from this perspective, the eye thing isn't just physiological discomfort.
It's a sign of something else starting.
Potentially, yes, a sign that your perception might be starting to shift, becoming aware of a subtler reality that sort of reframes the whole experience.
So it could actually be a positive sign, like an early stage of seeing things differently on an inner level.
That's the idea, a sign of progress, even if it feels a bit uncomfortable at first.
Wow. Okay. That changes things. Right, let's move on to the head sensation then. The head is not big enough feeling. That sounds scary.
It definitely sounds alarming, yeah. But again, the expert connected this feeling to the early stages of perceiving something profound. They called it the flame of soul.
The flame of soul.
Imagine like an energy inside you that's starting to expand. It's feeling confined by your normal sense of self, your physical head.
So it's not like your head is literally too small. It's more an energetic pressure.
Exactly. An energetic expansion that feels like it's pushing against your perceived boundaries.
Okay, I think I get that. So what did the experts suggest doing about it? How do you manage that kind of intensity?
Well, the advice was about shifting your focus. Many people focus on the third eye, between the eyebrows.
That's uncommon.
But the recommendation here was to focus on what was called the royal road.
The royal road.
Yeah. Think of it as the central energy channel running up your spine to the very top of your head, the crown.
Okay.
And specifically to visualize an expansion opening right at the crown, like something is gently unfolding upwards.
An opening.
And they added this vivid image, a 10,000 feathered lotus blossoming there.
Wow, 10,000 feathers.
Yeah.
That's a lot. What's the purpose of that image?
The idea is to create a feeling of more space, energetic space, by putting your attention on that lotus, any part of it, the petals, the center, and just imagining it opening upwards.
It counters the feeling of being constricted.
Exactly. It helps cultivate a sense of spaciousness, mentally giving that expanding energy somewhere to go, relieving that pressure.
Right, like opening a valve, mentally.
Yeah.
Okay, now the third thing, being filled with light in every cell. That sounds incredible.
It really does. And the expert was very clear on this point. They said the light that you are focusing on is quite present. It's really there. They really validated it.
So it's not just imagination, it's a real perception.
According to this perspective, yes, a genuine experience of entering a particular meditative state.
And they mention how someone might enter this state, didn't they?
Oh.
Something about Shatkipat.
Yes, Shaktipat. They contrasted it with entering through the Sushumna, which is maybe the more commonly discussed pathway, that central channel or royal road we just mentioned.
Okay, so what's the difference with Shatkipat in this context?
Well, they didn't go into a huge amount of detail, but Shaktipat is often understood as a more direct, sometimes even spontaneous transmission of spiritual energy. It can apparently lead to these deeper states quite quickly.
Faster, maybe.
Potentially. The expert actually said something like, "You've bypassed kindergarten," suggesting Richard might have jumped ahead, so to speak.
Bypass kindergarten. But then, didn't they also say something that seemed contradictory?
Uh,
About still having afflictions?
yeah, that's a really interesting point. Bypassed kindergarten, but still has afflictions going on.
How does that work? You're in this advanced state, filled with light, but still dealing with stuff.
It highlights that spiritual awakening isn't always linear or an instant fix for everything. Think of it like this. Your consciousness, your awareness might have shot up this central channel, the royal road. So maybe the brain is experiencing this focused, illuminated state, almost like nirvana in that moment, as the expert put it. Single focus, lots of light.
Right.
But the deeper patterns, maybe old emotional habits or psychological stuff, the afflictions, they might still be there. They operate on a different level, perhaps, and take their own time to resolve.
Ah, I see. So you can have a breakthrough in awareness without instantly clearing out everything else. That makes more sense.
Exactly. Progress on multiple fronts, maybe at different speeds.
And this intense light, this energy, while positive, could that be why these other sensations, like the head pressure or even the eye pain, feel so strong?
Very likely. The sheer intensity of that light and energy moving through your system can absolutely cause physical sensations. As your body, your cells try to adapt and integrate it, it can even feel like pain sometimes.
Okay, so managing these sensations is key. What practical advice did the expert give Richard for doing that?
Right, some specific techniques. First, the idea of fixating on opening, which sounds like just gently keeping your attention on that feeling of expansion, allowing it.
Not fighting it, but focusing on the opening itself.
Exactly. Then focusing on the petals of that visualized lotus at the crown, using that image again. And another focus point, concentrating on the area from the top of your ears, moving upwards, sort of widening the focus upwards.
Interesting, specific directions.
Yeah. And then also, back to that central channel, concentrating on the very center of that opening at the crown and feeling the upward movement there.
So lots of emphasis on upward movement and expansion at the crown.
Definitely. And they got even more specific, advising focusing on a golden light. And within that golden light, trying to perceive a white light moving upwards.
Golden light, white light moving up.
They even said you might see other colors, like blues or pinks, also moving up. The whole point of this detailed focus is to help manage the intensity, to sort of refine and guide the energy, making it less overwhelming, less like an exclusive quality, as they put it, potentially alleviating discomfort or pain.
Guide the energy, okay. And didn't they also encourage just being with the physical feelings
Yes.
in the cells?
Yes, that was important too. Sit and enjoy those feelings, learn those feelings. Basically, don't just try to manage it away, but be mindfully present with what's happening physically.
Learn from it, accept it.
Exactly. Allow the body to integrate it. Now, this whole thing brings up the question of timing, doesn't it? Richard didn't say how long he'd been meditating.
Right, and someone might think, well, he can't have been doing it for long if he's asking these basic questions, or maybe the opposite. Well, how did he get there so fast?
Precisely. And the expert addressed that potential thought directly. They brought up karma and how individual timelines can vary wildly.
The past life factor.
They made the point that someone seemingly new to meditation in this life might actually have, vast experience from previous lives they're tapping into.
They gave that example, didn't they? Someone meditating for a month could have like 20,000 years of background compared to someone practicing for 30 years in this life.
Exactly. It's a striking way to put it. It just completely reframes how we think about progress. It's not just about the hours logged now.
It really drives home that you just can't compare your journey to someone else's.
Absolutely. The expert's advice was very direct. You can only be you, accept where you are, accept your own pace.
That feels like really important advice for anyone on this kind of path. Letting go of comparison.
Totally. And finally, the expert sort of zoomed out, talking about the deeper meaning for Richard. They encouraged him to really enjoy and let yourselves just be permeated by it all.
Embrace the experience fully.
Yeah. And there was that intriguing line, "When I call you, I am all in you, suggesting a very deep, perhaps divine connection happening.
Sounds very profound.
And the idea that the full understanding, the command as they termed it, or the deeper realization, it comes when you're ready. You can't force it.
It unfolds naturally.
Right. So the final guidance was essentially enjoy the bliss, enjoy the knowledge, the nana, or inner knowing. Enjoy the love that comes with this state.
That's a beautiful way to look at it. Okay, so wrapping this up, what we've seen is that these intense experiences Richard described, the head pressure, the eye pain, they aren't necessarily weird or bad.
Right. They can actually be signs of moving into deeper states, connecting with subtle energy, and that feeling of being filled with light, potentially a very real perception of a higher state of consciousness.
And there are ways to navigate the intensity-focused visualization, mindful presence, focusing on upward expansion.
Exactly. And remembering that everyone's path is unique. Progress isn't always linear, and comparing yourself isn't helpful. Someone might seem to progress quickly due to factors we just don't see.
So it leaves us with a thought for you, the listener. Think about your own inner experiences, maybe during meditation, maybe just quiet moments. Any unusual sensations?
Could they be hints of something deeper trying to emerge? What might opening mean for you on your own path of discovery?
Definitely something interesting to reflect on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.